Exactly. Never slept the whole night. It was just being in. So it's not bad. I managed. As a single parent, luckily my partner is with me all the time, so he helps a lot. Yeah. So our sermon for today, a very familiar passage from the Bible. I'm sure all of us have read it many times or heard the story many times. Okay? The parable of the lost son or the prodigal son. So we understand what the word prodigal means. Anyone? The word prodigal? Wasteful. Yeah. Wasteful. You know, it just squanders. Yeah. And yeah, so we know that this father had two sons. One son, or the younger one, went to him and said, Father, give me a portion that will fall onto me. Straight away, inheritance. Gio works for Capital Legacy, he works with Worlds. So, if Anu tells his son, hey, this is going to be inherited to you once I die. So that's how a will works. Only when he dies, it comes into place. So this child, or this younger son, went to his father and said, give me what falls onto me. So he's asking his father for something that his father still has useful. Are we together? It says in the Bible here, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. So he divided them, his livelihood. Now, your livelihood is what you have. Like I remember when I was breaking up from my previous job, I was in a partnership. And then I was venturing out on my own. And my other partners gave me a little clause. And they said, I can't open a barber shop in a 12-kilometer radius of the one I worked for. And I was thinking, how am I going to manage? Because if I have to work 12 kilometers away from Amsterdam, it's going to affect my business because my business is there. That's where all my clients are. So I spoke to another lawyer friend and he says, no. You tell him that's your livelihood. That's all you know. And that's what I did. And I told him that this is my livelihood. This is all I know. You know, I can't work anywhere else. And I can't do another job. This is what I studied. So you understand what livelihood is. So this father, all the things he accumulated over the years, this is his livelihood. And he still had use for it. Imagine your child coming and telling you, hey, I can't wait for you to die. Give me the card that I'm going to inherit now. That's exactly what's happening. So are we together in this whole thing? So in Jewish society, there were laws regarding how inheritance works. The older brother got a double share, whilst the other brothers got a single share. When there were two brothers, as in our story, the older brother got 2/3 of the estate, and the younger brother got 1/3 of the estate. In this parable, the youngest son demands the share of his property. That means he's asking 1/3 of his father's possession that his father still had use for, and his father was still alive. Think about that. He's asking his father to give him 1/3 of everything he owns right now, before his father is there, when his father will still have use for these things. How many fathers will receive that lightly? Okay. I know my father and I got a brother, so that's two of us, right? If I went to my father and told him that, you're going to say, little nipper, don't forget, I raised you. Yeah, you are my child. You are coming to me and asking, from me what belongs to me. Yes, you're going to inherit it, but you're far from that. Imagine Jordan coming up and saying, hey, Dad, I can't wait for you to die because you're looking very fit nowadays. It's going to take a long time to die. You're not dying anytime soon. So give me what's going to fall onto me so I can go out there and live my life. I can go out there and spend and enjoy what is going to come to me. He's rushing the whole process. Straight away at once. I'm sure his father was shocked and probably hurt by his son's request, but he gave it to him. It was really an unexpected request. Yeah. Even though his father was hurt and felt disrespected, he granted him his wish. And we all know what happened after that. We know what happened. He went out there, he got to enjoy it, probably met a lot of friends, made a lot of friends, acquired people, and has the money. Listen, the friends listen. When days are dark, friends are few. It's true. So we know what happened. And then, do you believe that this guy wasn't in his right frame of mind when he started squandering everything? Because in the Bible it says, and then he came back to his senses. We know that there was a large famine and he had to go work for this one person who, the only job he had for him was to feed the pigs. And imagine this guy is feeding the pigs and he's thinking to himself, I come from a royal home. I come from a home where I have servants. I come from a home where my servants are not even treated like this, where they have plenty to eat and running over. And here I am feeding the pigs. And I'm thinking, should I just take one of them each to that level? And then he came to his senses and he said, you know what? I need to go back home. I need to go back home to my father's house, where I am treated like royalty, where I am not a servant. I have servants under me, where I am clean, fed. And that's our scripture reading. We'll come back to it. And the son said to his father, Father, I have sinned. Now, this is something that he was thinking in his head. He's going to say, let me go back home. And on his journey back home, as he's walking, these are the words that he recited over and over. He said, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. That's the thing he started reciting and going over. Traveling and walking back home. Now imagine this. This is the thing that he prepared himself. And as he walked back home, who was waiting there for him? His father. Imagine that. It's not coincidence that his father stood there on that particular day. His father was standing there every day. Every day, his father probably went out and said, I don't know where my son is. You know, I'm worried about him. And he probably stood there and he looked. And you know why he did that? Because he had this hope that his son will come. He had this hope that his son will come back one day. Not sure when. And he's hoping that his son is still alive. And in that time, you know, it was a hectic time, Jewish times. All the neighbors in that area knew that that son had died. So that son wasn't allowed to come back. You know, they knew what he had done. He took his portion of money. He probably disrespected his parents. And, you know, he actually ruined his family's name and he left. So everyone in that area knew what happened. So this father stood there every day, you know. So if he sees his son, he will run to his son. Because the neighbors won't allow that guy to come back. Because they know what he did. That's how it was. It was a hectic time. So, as he walked, he saw his father, but his father ran to him to protect him. And the words again. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, bring out the best robe, put it on him. Put a ring on his hand and sandals on his feet. And bring out the fatted cow and kill it. And let us eat and be merry. For my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. You know, basically, he came there to apologize to his father. So, Father, I have sinned. But his father didn't listen to what he had to say, or didn't remind him of what he had done. Are we together? He didn't say, you disrespected me, you disgraced my whole family. He didn't tell him that. He didn't say anything. He just said to his servants, bring all these things. The robe, a sign of royalty in the house of the Lord. Right. The sign of, the robe is a sign of royalty in the house of the Father, a protection as well from all evil. And when you put a robe on somebody, you are covering them to say, hey, this is not a servant anymore, it's not a slave. Although he's dirty and stuff, you covered him to say, hey, this is my child. Sandals on his feet. In those times, servants were barefoot. Yeah. Only rich people probably had, sandals. So sandals on his feet. The son is not a servant, but also sandals to protect and guide his way back home. Then a ring. I wear a ring because I'm married. Means I belong to somebody. The ring, the commitment between God and man, and father and son. And a ring is round, it has no beginning, has no end. So it's a continuation of love. You know, you get the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and then there's the suffering. I'm not going to talk about suffering today. But a ring means it's round, so it's the continuation of love, no beginning, no end. And it's a commitment between God and man. So, here again, he did all of these things to show that his son is no longer pumping. He's now royalty again. I mean, I'm sure he smelled bad at the time. The father still fell on his neck, grabbed him and hugged him. And the most important thing, never asked him any questions. Why? Because my son was dead and he's alive again. He was lost and he is found. This shows us God's reaction when we return from being lost. That's the action we get. He doesn't remind us of what we have done. He doesn't take us back reluctantly. Like the father in the parable, he takes us back joyously, eagerly, excited. Wow, thank you for coming back. You know, I'm glad you're back. How much more should we celebrate when a member comes back? How much more should we get excited and say, wow, thank you for coming back, Bernadine, to Calvary. Thank you for choosing our church. Maybe she has had a hectic life for the past few months. Probably was lost in sin. But we're not here to remind her what happened. We are excited that she's back. She's back and she chose us, or she chose this church. Even if somebody falls pregnant out of wedlock and she walks into the church, you know, showing that she's pregnant, she doesn't need to be reminded, hey, you're pregnant now. She knows she's pregnant. She knows she did wrong. But she chose to come back to church where there's love and protection. We're not here to remind people of what they did, but to show God's love. I entitled my sermon, Leave a Mark on the Heart, not a scar on the reputation. Are we together? You know, sometimes we hurt people when they've already been hurt. You know, all they're looking for is just some love. You know, they know where they've been, they know what they've done. And the most joyous thing is about the fact that they chose to come back. And coming home should be the greatest celebration that we should, and make them feel loved again. There's lessons that we can take from the prodigal. You know, when I say leave a mark on the heart, not a scar on the reputation, is because sometimes some people, they feel they are so far in sin, or they're so lost, and they always worry about what people will think about them. And it's our duty not to make them feel that we are thinking about them in that way, or we are looking down upon them. It's our duty just to show God's love, the expression of God's love. You know, which son we relate to may change depending on where we are in our Christian journey. See, there's two sons there. There's the prodigal child and the good child. Is the good child very good? From what you'll gather. Was he very good? We'll get to that part. So there's two sons, right? The prodigal and the good son. So which son we relate to may change depending on where we are in our Christian journey. At times, we may be seeking God and relate to the older son. Other times, we may have let the priorities of the world come between us and God, and we may relate more to the prodigal son. In any case, the parable speaks to all of us, no matter our perspective. The prodigal child. If you relate to the prodigal son, look inside, find God dwelling there. See the beauty he has inside, even if it's hidden. See the worth he sees in you. Ask him for forgiveness and welcome him back in your heart. He forgives you. See the prodigal child. He came back to his senses. You know, like I was giving the story to my children as well in the Bible this week. We use the story. And I was starting to say, Zach, when you do wrong, you are not in your right senses. Because you know what's right. Are we together? He's 6 years old. He knows when he's doing wrong. Because when I come to him, he's ready to run. If you're doing something right, would you run? No, you won't run. Exactly. So me, I know what it is to be a prodigal child. Because I know I was out there. So when you're doing wrong, you're always hiding. You're always ducking. You're always not taking calls. You're always avoiding. I'm not going to come and say, Uncle Daniel, on the day I'm doing wrong because he's going to drink it. What? You know what I mean? I'm not going to ask Marlon for certain advice when I know what the answer is. If I'm going to ask you about marriage when I'm committing adultery, he's going to give me the best advice, so I'll avoid Marlon. You get it? That's what happens. So this prodigal came to his senses when he realized, you know, I am far from where I'm supposed to be. So I was explaining, when we are doing wrong, we are not in our right frame of mind. It's a choice we make. The good child. If we are truly the good child, look no further than within your own heart. Are you happy with how the Lord or the Father is treating you on a daily basis? By providing you food, shelter, a good job, family, His unconditional love, comfort, and grace. I believe that the answer would be yes for most people. God has given you all you need and more. You are blessed. Be grateful for the gifts you have. Holding a grudge against the prodigal son accomplishes nothing more than putting a barrier between you and God. Let me tell you now, I was the good child as well. So I was a prodigal child. I know what it is to be out there in the world. Then, being the good child. Then, now that we are good, we start doing things. In fact, this was part of our lesson. We only start doing good things. Now we do all the good things only to get some recognition. So I do the Sabbath school and I sit at Sabbath school and I'm presenting the Sabbath school, talking, bring my presentation, I check in. Then is coming to church, it's almost 5 to 10. You know, Sabbath school is almost finished. I'm already on this judgmental this thing. That doesn't issue. He knows what time church starts. He should be in church early. You get what I'm saying? You think you're a good child, but you're becoming this judgmental child on everything that's going. And you get so fanatical that everything starts irritating you. You know, because you think you're doing everything by the book. I'm early in church, I'm doing everything. And you're not a good child anymore because you become this judgmental child. And you're like, oh, this person comes to church. I know, I see them, they're always early for work. You know, we start making our own assumptions about things. So it's important where you are in your Christian journey. Plus, it's not our decision to judge. We don't know what experience this man had that morning. We don't know, but we are very quick to judge. So know that he is waiting for you with open arms. So the prodigal child, if you are the prodigal son, which we are at some point due to our sin, be grateful for the unconditional love and forgiveness that will greet you when you come back home. The good child, no matter how close you are currently to God, rest assured that He loves you in an agape love. That's greater than anything that we can comprehend. When you fall, He'll be there to catch you. When you stray, and you probably will, He will welcome you back. His love for you is independent of any other relationship. Yes, you are all His. Imagine that. God has an independent relationship with each of us. He doesn't look at us as a group. It's all about us and God, where we are in our Christian journey. It's only about you and God. Whether you relate to the prodigal child or the good child, the parable of the prodigal son is all about living your life between God and not worrying about keeping the score about everyone else. Be thankful. Be thankful He's there for you when you follow Him and will always be there to welcome you back when you fail. We fail God on a regular basis. And even in the lesson last week, Brother Daniel spoke, sometimes we think our sin is so big. But remember, God's love is bigger than any sin. It's bigger than the deepest hole. For God so loved the world. For God, the greatest man in the world. Right? The world, the greatest amount of people. The greatest sacrifice He did. He sacrificed His only child. How much more should we not trust and believe in Him? How much more? Carry this lesson wherever you go. Wherever you are in your Christian journey, the lesson is the same. It's all about our personal relationship with God and recognizing that no matter our thoughts or actions, He loves us and welcomes us back with open arms. And when we return to Him, He'll always be there to take us. Imagine. The Father plays God in this story. You know? How He is there with open arms. How God is always waiting for us. He knows what the burdens on our hearts. But He's not going to help us if we don't ask. Imagine that He still gives us the freedom of speaking to Him, the freedom of prayer, where we can call upon Him at any time, any hour, and He's there to listen to us. You know, my son Zach, there's going to be a time where he's going to be grown up. And I always imagine the story or this talk that I'm going to have with him. I always imagine it's going to be the father-son talk. Maybe it's going to be a time when he's like about 18 years old and he's going to probably study in another province. Maybe it's going to be when he's 20 some odd years, when he has to move to another province or country to work. I don't know what the future has in store. I don't know. But I always thought about this analogy of a father's love, basically, that I want to, So I use a real life example of my son. And I just want to tell him, as you grow up, Zach, there's going to be a time when you're going to leave. But I want you to understand that I am your father. I raised you. Yes, you was a gift from God to me. It's my duty. And now that you are going to leave, there mustn't be one day that you are broke that I don't know. There mustn't be one day that you are in trouble that I don't know. If you are in trouble, come to me. Don't go anywhere else. If you did something really wrong, still come to me. Don't go to anyone else. I may be upset with what you did, but I still love you. You're my child. Yes, we'll attack the problem. Don't attack the person. Attack the problem. And, I want to remind him that if I've got money, you've got money. If I've got it, you've got it, because you are my child. I want him to have confidence knowing that I got him if he needs me. If he's in trouble, he can come to me. Now today, I want to speak to you about our Heavenly Father and speak this to your life from our Heavenly Father speaking to all of us. If your Father has it, you have it. If your Father has anything in this world that you need, remember I always say need, not wants. Sometimes we have more wants than needs. If your Father has it, you got it. God says, if I've got it, and you know I'm unlimited God, you've got it. There's nothing that you can need that I don't have. If I've got it, you've got it. God says, I've got joy. You've got joy. God says, I've got peace. You've got peace. I've got wisdom. You've got wisdom. If I've got grace, if I've got supplies, you've got supplies. If I've got mercy, you have mercy. I've got forgiveness, you have forgiveness. Come on. I just want to say, come on, boy. Come back home. Come home to your Father. Where there's mercy. And that's how I feel. Sometimes we are so far away in our sin that we are afraid to come back to the house of God. Because we are afraid about what people will think. We are afraid about, what's going to happen here. People will say, hey, we know what he's done. We know that this man cheated on his wife and now he's back with his wife and he thinks he's just going to come in the church and act all normal. That's not how it is. He should be happy that he's fixing his relationship or whatever, but he's choosing to come back home because he's wandered far away from home. Now he's coming back home. Imagine the Father saying, I don't care where you've been, I don't care what you smell, I don't care what you've lost. Fearing the fact that you are coming back home, I will meet you in the front. I will put my arms around you. I don't care what you smell. And whatever you've lost, you can regain it through God. We've lost many things, but you never lose God. Because God is always there. Just that that's why sometimes they say, when my child is small, I grab on his hand. I hold his hand. Because if I allow my child to hold my hand, he can go. But I hold his hand. And I always think of that. Sometimes we need to allow God to hold it. So put your hand out there. Let God hold it. Because he'll never let go. See, we start holding God's hand according to the time we need him most. And we need God all the time. So we should just push our hand out and let God hold our hand. Because God will never let go. We mustn't forget where we came from. And today, as I leave this little sermon, which is a very short sermon, but God's love, always remember that your biggest sin doesn't amount to God's love. May God bless you.